This has been the most insane afternoon with the Nkoveni female and their son. They've just killed 2 impala. Right, so while we're bumbling around in the rain, which is actually a pretty pleasant experience, I thought I'll just prop up the trustworthy brolly and tell you about what to expect in tomorrow's virtual safari. We spent an entire afternoon with the Nkoveni female and her son, and can't believe I completely dropped the ball and missed all the action. For all of the photographers and videographers out there, I'm sure you understand the frustration, but I guess that's just how it goes sometimes in the bush. I'm going to start off with a brief little sighting of the Nsevu breakaway female and the Styx male. They had successfully caught a buffalo cow and her calf, and they were feasting away there. And then for those that are invested in the Shimongwe female and her latest cub, it is in fact a young male. After the last sighting I shared with you, she's become somewhat elusive in that she had moved her cub to a new den, and we constantly saw tracks of just her, but were unable to find the den, and so we started believing that maybe she had actually lost the cub. However, that's not the case. As of yesterday, she was seen with the cub in an area quite close to the Masheben. So the cub is still alive and well, and as soon as we get some more footage of it, I will share that with you. So I'm heading out into the bush now, because in the last 4 hours we've had 102 mils of rain. So for those of you that don't know what that means, that is 102 mils, or just over 10 centimeters, which is that deep, of water or of rain has fallen in a 1 meter squared area. So if that water was to stay stable or stationary where it's fallen, the ground would be covered in the 10 centimeters of water. Of course, it doesn't sit there, it doesn't just sink into the ground. That much water needs to flow somewhere, and it flows down the slope towards the dry riverbed. So we are now just about to arrive at the Masheben River at one of the prominent crossing points to see just how much water is flowing here. I doubt we're going to be able to cross through it, but just to see some of these dry riverbeds flowing is a pretty impressive sight to see. So I think we've arrived when the water levels have somewhat subsided, because you can see on the banks, like over there, just where the water level would have been up against that log. So not so severe now. However, I'm not going to try and cross this, but I might lose the GoPro in the water instead. But yeah, I don't want to try and cross this because it's very likely to get stuck. But let's cruise on to some of the other crossing points and see what's happening out there.
I don't think so.
That would not be wise.
So as we're bombing across to some of the other crossing points, we've come across this ephemeral pan, which is now filled up with rain, and it is a hive of activity, as you can hear all these frogs calling. Dwarf puddle frogs, banded rubber frogs, a whole number of different frogs all calling here, which is pretty awesome. So the bush has definitely come alive after this pretty heavy downpour of rain, and I'm sure that's going to be the trend over the next couple of weeks as we see everything just bustling with life. Right, so now onto the incredible afternoon with the Nkoveni Duo, where they managed to capture not just 1, but 2 impala, and I somehow managed to miss all of the action. So we joined a sighting as they were busy moving through some of these epic clearings, pretty intent on finding some dinner. And after watching them moving around for quite some time, you could see the mother's agitation levels beginning to rise. She was keen on finding something to eat. However, her young son was not necessarily taking her hints at staying behind, because being a young, inexperienced male or inexperienced cub, he doesn't necessarily have the self-control necessary to be successful in a hunt, or he somewhat gets a little bit overeager as soon as he sees some potential prey. And that obviously can then lead to him giving himself away, giving his mother away, losing that element of surprise and causing whatever they are stalking to then flee. And because the element of surprise is lost, they're very unlikely to succeed with that hunt. So hence her agitation, and she's showing that by growling and snarling at the cub, basically telling him to hold back a little bit and let her go hunting. She eventually settled down in the grass and the cub went on ahead. And it was then when he climbed up on a termite mound, he obviously could see a herd of impala in the distance, and thankfully he then settled down there and waited. The mother was then able to seize an opportunity and began stalking towards this herd of impala. And so I wonder what it is that tells the mother or the Nkoveni female that now is the right time to stalk quicker and get closer. Because it was a pretty large herd of impala with a number of different sets of eyes and ears that would have most likely detected her, but somehow she knew that that was the moment to actually get as close as she possibly could. Which eventually got her into a clearing. The grass was pretty long, but she was still quite a distance away from the impala. And she then settled down very eagerly, just watching that herd of impala. So we then sat at a distance, now with only a view of the tip of her ear, could not see the impala at all, and we decided to just wait. We didn't want to loop around to where the impala were because that would change their behavior. We didn't want to get too close to the Nkoveni female because that might give her away. And probably about half an hour went by. So of course I'm not going to keep the cameras rolling for that entire length of time, because that's going to firstly exhaust all the batteries and fill up the memory cards. So I'd switched the cameras off, and just as I was beginning to think, I hope nothing happens while the cameras are off, the impala, something spooked them, and they began bolting directly towards where the leopards were.
Got it.
Did she?
Yeah.
So pumped with adrenaline, we dashed closer to see her now standing up with an impala lamb in her mouth. And we were absolutely thrilled when we then looked around the corner, only to see that the young male had also been successful and completely outdone his mother. He had caught a fully grown impala female which was probably 5 times the size of the impala that his mother had caught, so completely outshining her in this event. Okay. So very proud of himself, the young male then began playing with the carcass and feeding a little bit before they both then dragged their carcasses under a bush nearby. And so with it getting dark and the prospects of hyenas beginning to prowl around looking for dinner, we decided to leave the leopards to their own devices, and not wanting to draw in any unwanted attention with our presence being there, we left. And so just elated to have seen the whole sequence of events play out, as well as being rewarded for our patience for sticking it out for that long. We could not be happier with the way the afternoon turned out. So thanks for watching this virtual safari. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop a comment below, like this video, and we'll see you all again next week. But until then, bye for now. You'll never believe what I've just seen. As I drove past that herd of zebra, wildebeest and impala, one of the impala ewes came running out onto the road in front of me. Something didn't look right, so I followed her into the thicket here. No, stop. She's giving birth. She's just given birth. I'm not going to share it all with you now. Stay tuned until the next video. I'll give you the full rundown of exactly what's happened.